Hi, I'm Dori Borjesson, Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine, and I'm here today to talk with you about the impactful research that we do at the college. We are combining our current areas of excellence with bold goals for the future. You are about to hear from three of our most amazing faculty. They're going to talk with you about the things that they do, distinct from each other, but all impacting human and animal health and well-being.
Hi, my name is Ryan McLaughlin, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Integrative Physiology and Neuroscience. I run a behavioral neuroscience research laboratory here at Washington State University. We currently have a total of 4 graduate students, a postdoctoral researcher, and also a handful of undergraduate volunteers. I think that research is a really fundamental component of what Washington State University is. I think that's really what our identity is. I think that my research is going to help to maybe debunk a lot of myths associated with what cannabis use does or may not do. For instance, I think there's certainly a lot of contentious opinions about what cannabis use does during adolescence, for instance, impacts on the risk for psychosis and schizophrenia and risk for later drug abuse, gateway drug issues and all this sort of thing. I think the university has been incredibly supportive of the research that we're trying to do, and I couldn't imagine myself doing this research anywhere else.
My name is Jon Oatley, and I am a professor in the School of Molecular Biosciences at Washington State University. The work that we do is part of an overarching scheme that we refer to as DNA Blueprints for Health. And the overall idea of that initiative is that all of the traits and characteristics that drive the health of animals and humans alike is all encoded in our DNA. So what we're doing today is we are collecting the eggs out of some female cattle that have a unique genotype. And so we remove the eggs from the ovaries using a ultrasound guided approach. And hopefully tomorrow what happens is those eggs have now matured in the culture dish, and we can add sperm to them to get in vitro fertilization so we can make some new embryos. What's going to happen are those embryos are going to then be transplanted into the reproductive tracts of these females that I'm currently walking through. And hopefully we'll get a few pregnancies, and those pregnancies will be carried to term, and we'll have live born calves out of those pregnancies that will eventually become our next generation of surrogate sires. And in the end, what we hope to achieve is a way to improve the genetic makeup of cattle populations globally in order to be able to feed a growing global population in a more efficient and environmentally sustainable way.
So my name is Bonnie Gunn, and I'm an assistant professor here at the Paul Allen School of Global Health at Washington State University. And my laboratory really focuses on antibodies and understanding how antibodies provide protection against many different pathogens. Another component of the lab really looks at a lot of zoonotic diseases present in Africa. And so that really has been where our connection with the WSU Global Health in Kenya has really been an incredibly vital component of the laboratory. Well, certainly for Ebola viruses, there's been a number of outbreaks, continued outbreaks over the last 20 years in Africa. We're talking about 40 to 60% mortality upon infection, which is really, really high and really dangerous. But in the work that we've done with Zaire Ebola virus, this has really led to the development of many different therapeutics. We understand a lot more about what's required for protective vaccines so that we can actually fast track the development of new vaccines against some of these other Ebola viruses as well. So one of my dreams and goals would really to see WSU kind of become one of the major centers for zoonotic infectious disease research that people think of when an outbreak happens. And they know that the researchers at WSU, are actively engaged in understanding, where viruses are coming from, which kind of communities they're targeting, and then ultimately, how we can develop different vaccines and therapeutics to help combat these viruses.
The type of research you've just heard about from Doctors McLaughlin, Oatley, and Gunn requires ongoing funding and support. Faculty, staff, and students choose to come to Washington State University campuses across the state in order to engage in research that matters. What we do here impacts animal and human well-being. To do this work, we need continuing support from federal agencies, from state agencies, from impactful foundations that care about health, and from donors and friends of the college. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support, and we welcome further questions and engagement.